It's been a year. 2025 has definitely been a year. I was thinking back, and for those of you who actually follow any of my health update videos, can you believe that everything that's been going on has essentially happened in 2025? Like think about this, right? If you watch the old videos, remember a year ago when I was in agonizing pain, one of my best friends had to drive me in the middle of the night through California while it was on fucking fire to get to my hospital to have my surgery, to have my colon removed. I find out I have stage 4 colon cancer. I beat stage 4 colon cancer, and then it recurs, and like here we are now, right? I mean, obviously there's a lot of stuff that happened in between, and you know, if you're curious about any of that, you can watch other videos because I'm not going to recap it here. I've already gone into like excruciating detail for all of that, but I was just like, what the fuck? This was all in 2025. Oh my god. Okay, so yeah, here we are. You guys have probably been wondering where I've been. For context, I have not. That's not true. I have filmed maybe 2 videos in the past 2 months. Everything else you've been seeing is stuff that has already been recorded and was in the backlog and just needed to get uploaded. So it was like other card review videos, Masochist, anything like from the subathon, the I Beat Cancer subathon. How ironic. A lot of that was still in the backlog that never got uploaded, so I finally managed to get around to that. And aside from doing like 1 or 2 card review videos, I haven't done anything else in like 2 months. And there's like a reason for that. It's just because chemo this time around has been a bit different than when I had to go through chemo the first time because it's a different treatment plan. And so it's been rough. And so, like, the reason why Prague specifically took such a big hit in terms of, like, episodes just stalling out completely was because Gage and I weren't ahead. With all the other things that you've seen uploaded, they were either done way prior or we were multiple episodes ahead because I would film, like, multiple things a week, or in the instance of, like, Masochist, right? Like, Masochist, one stream is, like, several episodes. So we were just so far ahead that we still have stuff to go through. Where Prague, we were kind of doing it week by week. We always tried to get ahead, and every now and then we would, but then like something would come up, whether it's like with me or with Gage or whatever, and then we could never get back ahead. There was a point where we were like several episodes ahead, and we never really regained ground there. So that, for anyone wondering where that's been, that's essentially what's been going on. A combination of we weren't ahead, and I haven't been filming anything, and so. Why am I not filming anything? Well, basically the whole purpose of me making this video is twofold. One, I want to just kind of give you guys an update on where things have been, just because my last update video was obviously not the most uplifting video when it comes to stuff like this, which, to be fair, this isn't the most uplifting thing to talk about, but also to give you an update on sort of what I imagine for the channel for at least the short term, given everything that's been going on. And so I've got some notes off to the side here. So if you see me like peering off, it's just because I wanted it to sort of just be structured. Because I could probably talk about a lot of this stuff for a long time. And so I wanted to, you know, keep it a little bit concise, but also, you know, just kind of moving on from one thing to the next. So this is going to be, like I said, just general like update video, health update video, channel update video, all in one. If that's not your cup of tea, that's fine. I understand. But for those of you who are curious, and also I want to put this out there for the people who either are going through this or have friends, relatives, anyone that they know who is going through this. A lot of people have been commenting on the previous video saying how incredibly helpful it's been. Also, like doctors and nurses, apparently I have a lot of those that watch my channel. They've been saying it's been incredibly helpful to hear my experience as a patient, just from like their perspective. And so I don't know. I guess because I have the platform, I feel sort of obligated that I want to continue putting my story out there to, I guess, help raise awareness, but also to, help anyone that doesn't have to go through this shit like I have to. So let's get into it. So where did we leave off last time? Last time, for those of you who haven't been following everything, last time, what happened was I had several weeks of the weirdest symptoms you can imagine that you would not think are related in the slightest. I had this extremely sharp, excruciating pain in my right shoulder specifically, to the point where like I couldn't move because any motion whatsoever, it would just be, I just couldn't function. Like I couldn't sleep. It was awful. Paired with that, I had this weird, I don't really know how to describe it. Like, it would almost be pulmonary, but it's not. If you ever experience, if you get sick, like when your chest, it's like difficult to breathe. I was experiencing that, but in my abdominal area, which just sounds bizarre. And third, I had this weird symptom where I was belching just every 5 minutes. It would just be these like just absolute like bleh, like just out of nowhere without even eating or consuming anything whatsoever. Just a weird handful of symptoms that you wouldn't think are all correlated, but it turns out they are. Why is that? Well, because I went to the ER, got scanned, and apparently they found a bunch of masses on my liver because apparently the colon cancer had spread to my liver, and this is what's happening. And so got a bunch of tests done, went through the medical gauntlet, got it confirmed that that's what it is going on. And so just when I thought I beat chemo, I mean, technically you're not cured by definition medically until you've been in remission for 5 years. So you're in like remission until you're at that point where you've been in remission for quite a long time. But anyway, went through all that, got that confirmed, and then went back on chemo. Now, I say go back on chemo. Technically, it's starting a whole new round of chemo. And this chemo is different from the old chemo for several reasons. So started treatment. At the time of recording this, my next treatment is tomorrow, and that'll be my third treatment. So basically about a month ago at this point. So that was like the end of November, I want to say, was my first treatment. And so this treatment, while it is similar in the sense that it treats colon cancer, obviously, it's different just because it's different combinations of drugs. I'm not going to get super into the weeds with it. If you're medically inclined, it's FOLFIRI combined with panitumumab. If you want to look all that up, be my guest. But before it was FOLFOX and something else. But in any case, with FOLFOX, you can only have 6 months worth of that. I think it's the FOLFOX. It might be one of the other things. But anyway, you can only have 6 months of that. Otherwise, like throughout the course of your entire life. That's how toxic that is. So this combination is different. And typically, this is like the regular course of action where you like go through 6 months of FOLFOX. Hopefully that does the trick. And then if something else happens, you kind of figure out what to do next. And so in my instance, all this is happening. So now they put you on FOLFIRI with panitumumab, and this is where things differ. So in terms of me going to get the chemo, it's very similar, where I go in only every other week, which is really nice because a lot of people who go through chemotherapy sometimes have to get it like multiple times a week, right? And that sounds miserable. Me, I go in every 2 weeks to get mine. There's a little bit of an asterisk to that, but I'll get to that in a second. So I go in, I sit there for like 5 hours basically while they pump me full of everything. And then I just leave. And this stuff's kind of weird. I didn't have this with the old chemo, but for whatever reason with the new chemo, I don't really know how to describe this. For those of you who have ever indulged in like psychedelic drugs or like mushrooms or something or acid, I've never done any of that. I'm very straight edge. I'm a square. But when they describe how like everything that's like a solid object is like vibrating, or you can see the particles or the atoms that make up an object just sort of moving, for whatever reason, when I come out of this treatment, that's what everything looks like for like 5 hours. I don't know what it is, but for whatever reason, everything's like, whoa, like this is weird. So I'm not sure. I don't know what is causing that. It goes away very quickly, but I remember the first time when I got my first treatment, and thankfully, Brittany dropped me off and was picking me up because I think she needed the car. And so I remember she picked me up. She's like, "Are you okay?" And I'm like, "I don't know. Like everything's vibrating. This is really weird." And so I was very thankful that she actually picked me up, because before I could just drive to treatment myself and just drive myself home. But that was like, I didn't know if I could drive home. That was like a trip. That was weird. And so the second time it happened too. I don't feel like it was as bad the second time, but just a weird thing that happens. Anyway, so go in, get pumped full of stuff, get out. Now, the other thing that comes with both Folfox and Folfiri is you get this, I don't know how the best way to describe this, like bulb, I guess, of one of the drugs. I'm not sure if it's the panitumumab. I'm not sure which one it is, but it's this like bulb full of drugs, and it's hooked up to you. Like you still have the IV, I guess, or like the tubing going into your port or your IV, depending on your situation. And you have it's a fanny pack essentially that holds this, and you keep this in you for 48 hours, and then you go back to the treatment center, and then they just take it out. And this bulb of liquid slowly, I think it's like at 5 milliliters, and that, I don't know if that's correct. It's a very small amount that it injects into you like per hour. It's super, super slow, but it's kind of cool because you slowly see the bulb kind of just collapse in on itself to know that it's actually working and going in you. So that's kind of cool and weird at the same time. It's kind of annoying because you have to have all this, because you have the fanny pack, and then you have the tubing, and like I have a port, so like for me it just goes like into right here. But it's awkward because like you have to have if you put a shirt on, like you have to kind of put all this stuff underneath it, and then not to mention I have like an ostomy bag, so like there's just like all these things just dangling off of me, and it's just kind of weird. So that's again, if you're not really going anywhere or doing anything, it's not like the worst thing. It's kind of awkward to sleep with just because you don't want to like crush it or anything like that. Just kind of a weird thing if you're not really used to it. But you go after 48 hours, you go back, they take it out, and then for the next week and a half, basically, because it's only 2 days, for the next week and a half, you're totally good. You don't have to go back or do anything or whatever. Which again, compared to people who have to go through normal chemo, maybe they go like 3 times a week and all that. So How have I been tolerating the treatment, essentially, is probably what a lot of you are curious about. Overall, I want to say it's very good. The reason I say that is because compared to what I've heard both anecdotally and also from what I've read online from several people, chemo in any form, it's obviously toxic. It's, poisoning your body. It can have a lot of really fucked up side effects. I think in the grand scheme of things, I've got it pretty easy, but it's still really rough, and I'll get into why that is. So my main side effects are fatigue, and I had fatigue with the Folfox as well, but the fatigue with the Folfiri is a whole different beast. So for context, I believe when I had the Folfox, I would be pretty tired, and I want to say for like 3, maybe 4 days after getting the initial dose. So like I was getting chemo on Tuesday, I want to say previously. So Wednesday, Thursday, they would disconnect the pump. And then probably by Saturday, I'd be okay. Right. And then, as some of you know, I was doing a bunch of stuff, right? I'd still try to live a normal life. And that was really nice. This, however, oh boy, if you have ever done the very stupid thing that a lot of us do when we're young, where you try to stay awake for 48 hours or 72 hours or whatever, imagine just feeling like that all the time. And even if you sleep, imagine it not really getting much better. You might get like a reprieve or like a second wind or a burst of energy maybe from sleeping, but then it immediately comes back on. Your eyes feel so heavy. Mentally, you don't feel right. And then physically, your body is just drained. The fatigue hits on a whole different level. And I know, like, in the grand scheme of things, compared to like puking your guts out or like any of the other crazy side effects you can get from a treatment like this, it doesn't sound bad, but the fact that it hits you like a fucking truck. And there are just times where you're just like, I need to just fucking collapse. And it's not even, you won't even be doing anything. You could just be sitting on the couch doing nothing, and all of a sudden you're like, oh fuck, I'm gonna go take a nap for 3 hours. Like it's that bad. And it sucks because as someone who has to be, on for you guys and making content, if I was working like a regular desk job, where you don't really have to, you maybe talk to some people every now and then or whatever, I don't think it would be as bad, but the fact that, we're projecting and we're, being enthusiastic and exciting and all this stuff, it's really rough. And you might be seeing me now and be like, oh, he looks really good. Well, I'm doing this on the day before I get my next treatment because that's the best I'm going to feel for the next 2 weeks. So I figure if I don't do this video now, I'm probably not going to be able to get this video out because I'm just going to be a fucking wreck. And honestly, to be honest with you, probably as soon as I'm done recording this video, I'm probably going to go take a nap because even just talking into a camera for however long this video ends up being, it sounds crazy, but that exerts so much energy because, I'm kind of like an energetic. I move my hands, stuff like that. It's exhausting. And I know from the couple of videos I have filmed with like CGB, just to get some more card review stuff out, just doing that every single time we film one of those, I just crash the fuck out and I'm just a zombie. So I go and nap for like 2 to 3 hours. Maybe I'll wake up, have some dinner, and then I go the fuck back to bed. And it's rough. It's really fucking rough. And so that's just one side effect. The other side effect is I have this like horrific, I don't want to say horrific, that might be a bit exaggerative. I have this really, I don't know. I have this rash, and you can kind of see it. Like, if you look really close, you might be able to see some of the pimples on my face. I don't know if you can see the ones. You can kind of see the ones on my arm here. I'm not really sure. And you're like, oh, that's like nothing. If any of you remember going through puberty, and you remember like what your chest and shoulders look like, it would be fully broken out, and it just looked like you had some abhorrent disease. That's what my chest and shoulders look like right now, and my abdominal area, and kind of my legs too. For whatever reason, my face and my arms have been spared for the time being. But in any case, I look like I have the fucking plague or something just underneath my clothes. It's bad, and thankfully, it's not like itchy or anything. It's more just like cosmetic than anything else. And ironically, it's also a good thing to get the rash because they say, and you can read this as well, first of all, like everyone's supposed to get the rash. And I remember, I think I talked about that in the previous video where I was like concerned about that, but it's purely, I don't know if this is just me specifically, so, take it with a grain of salt. It doesn't like itch or feel irritated or anything. It's purely just like, oh, I have these like pimples on me. Right? Where like when you're like prepubescent and you're going through that, it kind of felt like itchy or like really irritating to your skin. The only time, and I just found this out recently, the only time it really gets irritated is if you start sweating or getting hot like internally. And I found that out because I was trying to work out because I'm trying to still be healthy, and working out is one of the things, it's one of the biggest things you can do to help not only get rid of cancer, but also like prevent cancer from recurring. So I try my best to do that. I went to the gym and I didn't even try doing anything crazy. I was just trying to walk briskly on like a heavy incline. I think I was like on the max incline that the treadmill could do. Cause I picked one of the settings where it's like hilly. So the treadmill's like, this, and after about 10 minutes, my whole body felt like I had centipedes crawling all over me. It was, I wanted to just rip my skin off. It was horrible. And so thankfully it's cold outside. So I stopped immediately, ran outside, and just stood there for like 15 minutes just so my body could just cool down again. And so I have learned that it can be really irritating under the right circumstances. So under normal circumstances, it's okay. Now, that's very frustrating because obviously I want to be able to, do some sort of like moderate activity. I found out that just like briskly walking, not on heavy inclines, but like, just at a regular flat angle, like just if you walk, in your town or whatever, apparently that's okay. So at least I can do something. But I need to do things that will minimize how much I will like profusely sweat. So that's uncomfortable. And it makes sense too, because in some of the videos that I record, you guys might notice that I'm doing like, you might see my arm going like this, or like things like that. It kind of looks like I'm jerking off. It's because when I'm filming, it gets really fucking hot. And because I have these fucking lights, just if it's summertime in Vegas, it's fucking 110 degrees outside. So even with like the AC and everything on, like you can still feel the heat. My fucking wall, like the sun will hit the walls and the heat just permeates in. Like there's a window right behind me, right? So the sun doesn't go away. So you get really fucking hot when you're recording sometimes, especially if you're animated and kind of flailing all over the place. And I was like, why when I record do I get itchy? But when I'm kind of just living my day-to-day life, I'm fine. Then it all clicked. I'm like, oh shit, it's because I'm like sweating or like just internally I'm getting pretty warm from being animated or whatever. And that's what's causing it to trigger like the rash and everything just to be really irritated. So everything sort of clicked in that moment. And so that was very frustrating. And so there's not really like anything you can do about it. It's just kind of part of the process. You can, any sort of like body regimen, with like lotion or anything like that. You can do stuff like that, but it's not going to really do much. It kind of just like helps moisturize your skin, if anything. So that's rough. But I mean, if anything, as soon as treatment ends, that just will eventually go away. So it is what it is in that regard. But like I said, everyone, for the most part, who goes through this treatment gets the rash. And it's a good thing because that means that the treatment is actually working, which is kind of fucked up, but whatever. And so that's honestly it in terms of my side effects. And again, it doesn't sound like a lot, but the fatigue is really, really cumbersome. Like, I can't really describe how bad it is. A lot of people get really nauseous and are puking, but I have the opposite problem where I'm like voracious and I'm ravenous and I'm trying to just eat everything in sight, which is very rare. Anyone I talk to who's a nurse who's saying, or who I tell this to, the fact that I'm just eating everything in sight, they're like, that's incredible. That's really, really good. So I'm happy that I don't have that because I hate fucking puking more than anything. There's plenty of other like random ass side effects you can get. Don't have any of those. Fingers crossed, knock on wood that that's the case. But unfortunately, with each treatment of this chemo, the side effects that I do have most likely will compound and worsen because that is how this works. That's how the old one worked as well. And so, unfortunately, the fatigue's only going to continue to get worse, and that really sucks. So, that's pretty much it on the health front. I think at this point I need to get a few more treatments before my doctors want to start doing more scans again and more blood work just to see where things are at. I think I'm supposed to get like an ultrasound next week or something, which I don't even think was necessarily planned for this, but conveniently it's of my liver, so that's kind of funny. And I think I'm supposed to get like actual like MRI, CT, like all the specific specialty blood tests that I mentioned previously. That's all supposed to be like in January, if not like very early February. And that'll be like good indicator of where things are at. I'll be honest with you though, I think it's gone. And the reason I say that is because immediately, and I mean immediately after my first treatment a month ago or whatever, again, I had this excruciating shoulder pain. I had the weird breathing issue where there's all this tightness in my lower abdominal area. I have the weird belching thing going on. As soon as my first treatment concluded, gone. All of it was gone. My shoulder immediately felt better. The only problem with my shoulder is that because I was trying so hard not to move it, it was really stiff. So I had to take about a week to kind of like work it back in to kind of get it in like a working condition. Because before I was trying to do everything to keep it still because any movement hurt. So it was very stiff. But then after like a few days, it felt totally normal. The weird breathing issue thing went away immediately. So like all of a sudden I'm like, oh, I can breathe like in like, and it doesn't feel like all my organs are, crushing each other. And the belching thing took like maybe a day or two to go away fully, but definitely as soon as I had the treatment, there was like a huge reduction in it where it was really only happening if I was eating, and then it was gone completely. And you might be wondering, like, how are all these related to liver, colon cancer affecting the liver? So basically, because of the masses on the liver, it was causing so much expansion that it was like crushing, not I want to say crushing, but pushing up against all the other organs. So the theory is that because it's like, your diaphragm kind of runs through here too. The belching was because since there's that like pressure, it's forcing like you to have these like gastric issues. And then on top of it, there's a nerve that runs here all the way up to the right shoulder. A lot of people experience the right shoulder pain because they have gallbladder issues. But the gallbladder and the liver also, they can sort of resemble the same referred pain side effects. So in most instances, for people who don't have what I'm dealing with, if they have a right shoulder pain that's like extremely bad, it's probably their gallbladder and they might need to get their gallbladder removed. So that can be something that could get confused. But because of everything that I had going on and it's like the same region, that referred pain was shooting up to my shoulder, which the human body's fucking crazy, right? You wouldn't think your shoulder hurts, it's your fucking liver, right? Like how the fuck does that make sense? So in any case, I think that's basically the health update portion of this video. I'm overall doing okay. And so now this is where it gets into the YouTube stuff, because this is probably what most of you are interested in hearing about. So where are we at with this? Well, I need to heal. I had a lot of time to just kind of sit around and think about what I need to do, what I want, my future to look like and things like that. And so I need to take the time to ensure that I can fully heal through this. And I have heard, and I'm hoping this is the case, if someone follows the pattern that I have, where they go on FullFox, they are remission, and then it recurs, I have heard that it goes away just as quickly as it came on when you have to undergo like Fulfiri and this other treatment, which it seems like that's the case, because like I said, I don't have any of the other symptoms that I did before, which is why I think the first treatment just fucking nuked everything. And so now we're just kind of going through the motions to make sure all the other microscopic cells are gone so this doesn't happen again. But I've heard anecdotally multiple times that a lot of people, when they follow this exact trajectory that I'm going through, that this is the last time they have to deal with anything chemo related ever. And so I am manifesting that I am going to be in the same boat as those people, and we don't have to do that again. So where does that leave us for when it comes to YouTube stuff, right? So I need to take the time to make sure that I am doing everything I can possibly to give myself the best odds to heal. And so what does that mean? That means that I need to do everything I can to be working out as much as I can. Even with the fatigue, like even if I work out and I pass out, maybe that's just how it is, right? Same thing goes for videos. I make a video and I pass out, that's just how it is. But I need to not overexert myself, right? I need to make sure I'm allocating my energy in the right places. That means eating very healthy. I've basically like cut sugar completely from my diet, and all the other things that are things that you read about that are conducive to causing cancer or helping cancer spread. So I've gotten very, I don't want to say like extremely strict with my diet, but I've gotten a lot healthier in terms of what I've been choosing to consume. Just all aspects of life. But not only does that apply to the physical, but that also applies to the mental, which is also, again, where it comes into the YouTube side of things. And I guess I didn't really talk about the mental side of it, so maybe I should do that before I get into the YouTube stuff. Obviously, everything going on, it takes a huge physical toll on the body, but it also takes a really big mental toll on the body. And I didn't really talk about this much in the previous video because I didn't really exactly know how to cope with it at the time. But I was really struggling with I had this idea in my head when I got off FullFox and I got all the results that, everything was zeroed out, you're in remission, things are good. I had this idea in my head that, oh, this is like, once that happens, I'm going to take on the world. We're going to be making like content like fucking crazy. We're going to be doing this. We're going to be doing this. We're going to be doing that. That was kind of the vision in my head of what was going to happen post beating cancer the first time, right? And it didn't actually play out that way. In fact, the opposite sort of happened, where I got very like nihilistic about a lot of things, where I kind of thought to myself, man, like a lot of this shit just in comparison, it's so insignificant or meaningless, right? It's just like all these things that we like bitch and complain over on like a daily basis. Like who fucking cares, right? Because at the end of the day, right? Like, is this really like what we want our lives to be? Is, kind of nitpicking over like a fucking card game and things like that. And I don't know, it just sort of like sent me into this spiral a bit. I actually ended up like starting to see a therapist just to kind of just lay out my thoughts about that. And it's funny because apparently this is very common that a lot of cancer patients go through, where they kind of just like don't know, like you're at death's door essentially. And it's like, okay, you walked away, you know, kind of scot-free. And now it's like, okay, now what the fuck do you do? Right. And so I've kind of been grappling with it a bit of what I sort of want the rest of my life to look like. And I don't really have that answer at the moment, but that's something that I'm working through. And so that's also just an aspect I wanted to discuss, because I think the mental health side of it doesn't really get discussed often. I kind of just had this moment one day. I think Brittany was out. I was just sitting in my office. I think I was working on something YouTube related. And I kind of just had this moment where I kind of just said to myself, I'm not okay. Like, I need to talk to someone. Like, just, I had this like sort of like mental breakdown moment where like, I need to go talk to someone. And it was ironic because when I called, I didn't know like who I could go to with my insurance or anything, you know, American problems. So I called my insurance just to kind of get some details. It was really funny because the woman I spoke with on the phone, I just explained this to her, just I'm explaining it to you. And apparently her husband also went through colon cancer, passed away, unfortunately, but went through the exact same, like he beat it once and then it recurred. And then that was, unfortunately what took his life. And she was saying how that, you know, even though we were strangers, she was like happy that I was taking that step to like seek help, because a lot of people don't. And, just having a few sessions with my therapist so far, it's actually been, you know, helpful to a degree, just to be able to kind of sort through some of this stuff, because it's rough. And I know for a lot of you who've never been through like a cancer diagnosis or cancer battle or whatever, it may not be like super relatable to a lot of you, but maybe it's relatable in a different way through like a different condition or other stuff you might be going through into your life. So I guess, you know, if you feel like you need that support from like a mental health perspective, like don't be afraid to seek it out, because there are resources out there. So I just felt like I wanted to say that. But anyway, let's talk about the YouTube stuff. So where are we at currently with things? Like I said, I've basically only recorded 2 videos in the past 2 months. Everything else you guys have seen is stuff I've had essentially just on deck that I never uploaded. So at this point, I'm trying to figure out the balance of how can I bring you guys the most amount of content that's going to have the most minimal amount of impact on my health in terms of producing it. Because like I said before, if I try recording a video, I can usually get through it, but then it just completely takes me out. And so that is not sustainable for the short term, trying to just pump out content after content after content. And so I'm trying to figure it out. And so at this point, I have it narrowed down to, I think, what makes the most sense. I still have some things to work out, but I think it's probably going to look something like this. So the card review videos. The card review videos continue to do exceptionally well. That's like the best content on my channel by like a fucking mile. And not to mention, in terms of like the long-term evergreenness of the videos, like that has been extremely helpful in terms of giving me some ease mentally, knowing that I don't need to pump out videos like as crazy as I used to, because so many of you guys love and keep watching those that I'm still able to like have a cushion that I don't have to worry about, you know, because this is my livelihood. I don't have to worry about just pumping out videos left and right, because those videos in the long term do very well, because they're evergreen, right? You know, you could watch that like 2 years from now. And aside from like if ban lists and stuff change, they do really well. And so those are going to keep coming. That's going to continue to be a mainstay of the channel, at least for the time being, until maybe you guys could eventually get sick of them. But we still got plenty of stuff to show CGB and Rarin. And honestly, we just enjoy doing those videos. Like, it's fun to just sit back and just yap. And half, at this point, like, half the video is just us talking about other random shit. Like, we'll talk about the cards, obviously, but we'll go off on these random tangents about stuff that's sometimes not even related to what we're talking about. And I think a lot of you guys like the yap. I mean, obviously from other series and such as well, that you guys seem to like that dynamic. And maybe just as we're getting older, it's like, yeah, Yu-Gi-Oh! Is what sort of like brought us together, but it doesn't have to be everything, you know? So I don't know. It's been interesting, but don't worry. If you guys love your card review videos, those are going to keep coming. I've got some fun ideas for those. Masochist is going to keep coming as well. I think I still have I want to say at least a month worth of Masochist videos that have not gone live. Obviously, if you watch the live streams before all of the health stuff came up, you know what's happening, and you're basically caught up because I haven't done any streams since. But Masochist is starting to get crazy if you haven't been keeping up, because we start getting some actually insane cards, and our deck is starting to look way better, which I'm very excited for, because I don't think the videos have gone up yet of like when our deck gets really crazy. So that I'm excited for. And I'm excited to jump back into Masochist. Like, if I'm in a position where it's like today, where it's like the day before a treatment, maybe a couple days before treatment, I feel pretty good. I feel like I could hop on, do a live stream, interact with some of you guys, and get a couple videos worth of Masochist for those of you who don't watch the live stream, right? That's, it's probably going to be exhausting, but at least it seems doable. It seems doable. And so I haven't tried it yet, but at least for the time being, we have several Masochists that are still needing to come out. I want to finish Masochist. Like, that's the thing. Like, I want to beat the challenge. And so that's like what keeps me going on that specifically, is like, I want to actually do it. And obviously going through all this health stuff, that's not easy, because when you grind platinum, it's a fucking hell, as we saw in these videos that are coming up. But I want to actually beat that challenge, because I started it like, 2 years ago now, I think. And so I really just want to actually finish it, because I feel like that would be something pretty remarkable, considering how shitty our deck and our luck has been, all things considered. Another big one, Prague. I know a lot of you, Prague is obviously sort of what catapulted my channel to what it's become now. It started all of the other, subsequent, break-off series that I did, like History and Sealed Showdown and all these other like episodic style of things, right? And not even just me, for plenty of other content creators as well. That was, that's sort of the norm now, is that we do these, weekly series type things. And so Prague's in a weird spot, because I want to keep doing Prague. I like Prague. Like, I like Gage. He's one of my best friends. Like, nothing wrong there. So like, if you're like speculating that something nothing happened. It's just my health stuff came up. Okay. So there's no issue there. My issue is with Prague Season 2 and what it has become. And that's for a couple of reasons. One, I feel like it's gone on way too long. I feel like I underestimated how long it was going to take for Gage and I to finish it, based off of the fact that the way that we structured it. Because Season 1 was just core sets. And at the time, I believe there were 83 core sets. So if we're doing one a week, in theory, Prague Season 1 ended in a year and a half, I want to say, right? Prague Season 2, I think, has been going on for like 3 fucking years. And I'm not, I'm going to go look right now, actually. Like, how long has Prague Season 2 been going on for? When did I upload Yu-Gi-Oh! Progression Series 2 Legend of Blue Eyes? When did I upload this video? I uploaded this video on January 24th, 2022. Sets. Prague Season 2 is about to be 4 years old. That is way too long. And to be honest with you, it's probably going to take, if I calc it out, at least another year if we want to finish it. And that just seems like it feels like a sitcom or an anime or a show that has just, it's way past due ending. It almost feels like, like fucking One Piece or something, where it's just, like, it keeps going on, right? And it just never feels like it's going to fucking end. Now, I don't really watch One Piece, so I have nothing against, the show itself, but, in terms of like how long it's just like, that's ridiculous, right? So that means if we have done Prague Season 2 for 4 years, roughly, right? It's about to come up to 4 years. If we did one episode of Prague a week for 4 years, that means Prague Season 2 has lasted almost 200 episodes, which again is absolutely ridiculous. It's kind of a feat that we've done it, to be honest. We were pretty consistent until all the health stuff came up and I took a huge hiatus, but I think it has overstayed its welcome. And Gage and I have talked about this before. I think a lot of you guys have expressed this in the comments as well, where it just feels like it's dragged. And that's also because it's like some sets are just so bad and they just kind of feel almost like filler episodes where nothing really progresses, right? When it's like a set, it's like a reprint set or like a legendary duelist set, those are like notoriously the worst. the Hidden Arsenal chapter ones or whatever. Like there's so many bad sets that I can just think about that we went through that didn't actually do anything. And so on top of it, because we did Prague Season 2 the way that we did, it almost feels like Gage and I are playing with basically constructed level decks aside from like a couple consistency pieces, right? Like you look at some of the decks that Gage and I have played in the past year or so, and you could compare those to decks that were played during the actual time, and they're not far off, right? Like at one point I was essentially playing constructed level Prank Kid. Gage was basically playing like constructed level Orcust, you know? And it goes on. It's not even just like this was a one-off. There's so many instances where it's like we were playing actual, you know, like actual modern constructed Yu-Gi-Oh! And it almost feels like that goes against what the progression series is trying to be, because the whole idea of the progression series is you're trying to make the best out of like the shitty 24 packs that you get out of a box in the instance of like, you know, season 1 or whatever. And the whole point is like we're playing with these janky ass decks. And it just feels like as we go episode after episode in the recent episodes, like the past year or so, it's just felt like we're basically playing modern, you know? It's like, oh, I'm playing Eldritch, Gage is playing Orcust, right? It doesn't feel like that jankiness isn't there. And I think the jankiness was fun. Like, yeah, in season 1, every now, like, I think I had like constructed Blackwing, obviously, for like several episodes. Gage had what did he have? He had one deck in season 1 that he wanted to tear with. I can't remember what it is. But even so, that was like so few and far between that I think it was fine. Where now it's like, again, I think that's just like what's lacking in a sense is like the lack of progression, 1, but 2, also like the jank factor. I think like having to come up with like weird ass decks based off of like this limited circumstance, it is like, you know, because remember season 1, like UAs were like a good deck, right? Or like we had some decks that were like so far like off the wall, but they were actually insane that's what made season 1. I mean, obviously it was also season 1. It hasn't been like done to death. It was only a year long. There's a lot of other things, right? And so I've had a lot of time to think about Prague, and it's just like, it's not that I haven't like wanted to film it. Obviously there's all the fatigue and stuff involved too. I've just felt like it's almost run its course. And if I go back to Prague, I almost want to we just start over. Like we just do season 3. Like we just stop season 2, maybe do like a finale for it or whatever. And then we just do season 3. And we figure out something completely different for season 3. And I've thought about like ways we can do that. Like I thought having a third person to join Gage and I, you know, whoever that might be, would be a lot of fun to just add more to the banter and also add to the games. I think it'd be more interesting if instead of like Gage and I just always playing a best 2 out of 3, if we did like a triangle where I play Gage, Gage plays whoever, and then whoever plays me. And that way you can still get like your wins, and we're tracking the wins based off like, oh, you know, 1 week maybe, you know, I get 2 wins, someone gets 1 win, someone gets none. Or so the scoring is like a little bit different, right? So I thought that would be fun. Because it's Progression Series 3, I thought it would be fun to like kind of play on the number 3 in a lot of ways. So it's like 3 people are in. There's 3 games every single episode. Because I think that's also what sucks is like when one of us gets 2-0, the episode's really short and that kind of like kills the hype. Where if there's always 3 games at the minimum, at least there's going to be, you know, something else like, you know, to watch. And then there's like more involvement in like the dynamics and stuff. So I think that would just be a lot more interesting. There's other stuff too that like I don't want to fully spoil if this is like the route that we end up going, because I have like other ideas as well. And if you guys have other ideas too, like let me know down in the comments. Like I'm totally open to it. But I think there's a lot of like cool stuff we can do to play on the number 3 to make. I kind of just want to reinvigorate Prague. It feels like Gage and I kind of like have the wind knocked out of our sails when it comes. Like it started, and we talked about this even prior to like the cancer stuff really coming up. It started to feel more and more like a slog the longer season 2 dragged on, and that's like my fault and Gage's fault. Like it's our fault as creators that we didn't like do something about that prior. So it's not like your guys' fault or anything. But I think that. I think that I want to bring more life into Prague. I want Gage and I to be excited to like play again, because I think we were sort of like feeling like, okay, it's Monday, let's film Prague. And when you start feeling like that, not even just about, content, but about anything, that kind of just doesn't make it very fun anymore. And I think you guys have probably even seen that in some of the videos where we kind of just feel deflated or the energy's not really there. And I don't want to really feel obligated to make content like that. I want to be able to be super excited to make the content, and then you guys are super excited to watch it. That's the best case scenario, right? And so that's kind of where Prog's at. I don't really know the answer at this exact moment. I kind of want to figure it out within the next week or two. So in my ideal world for my treatment, it's we have reinvigorated Prog season 3 that's fucking crazy and you guys are super hyped to watch it, right? That would be that's the first video. We have the card review videos, which a lot of you guys love as well. And then we have Masochist. And that I feel those 3 videos as my baseline for a weekly basis is the absolute minimum that I would want to bring you guys without feeling like it's so much that it's going to affect my health. And if there's anything else that comes up in between those 3, then, and I feel like I have the energy to produce it, then that's totally fine. Maybe I want to do a video about the full arts because I was away for vacation with my family when that news dropped. So I didn't really have much time to share my thoughts on that. But there's talking about that, or just if something strikes if inspiration strikes to make a video, I'm bringing you guys those 3 videos, and then also whatever else just I feel up to making in the short term. But it sucks because it's I feel like I have so many other cool things I want to do, but given the circumstances right now, I just feel like it's really difficult to do. It's I want to do King of Games season 2 because you guys love season 1 so much. I have another series with Gage that I have a couple episodes filmed, but because of all the health stuff that came up, we just stopped for the time being. We have 2 episodes for that. It's really fucking funny. I don't know how well it's going to be received, but I really like the concept of it, and I think there's cool stuff we can do with it. I don't know if we're gonna go back to that, but we'll see, because again, that's sort of low investment as well. But I've had stuff in the tank that I've been wanting to produce, but the health stuff's just been such a roadblock. I want to do a progression series with 2 Magic creators where they know nothing about the game. I think it would be so fucking cool if we got to witness 2 noobs. Basically think about when we started playing. I want to watch 2 noobs open up packs of cards, in order, how we did. We opened Legend of Blue Eyes, we opened Metal Raiders, whatever, and they're analyzing these cards for the first time with their Magic card game background, and they think X, Y, or Z is good for whatever reason. I think it would be such a cool experience to see what they think is good in learning, while also learning the game, right? Because if you're going in order, in a traditional progression series sense, you're slowly learning the mechanics, right? LOB is very vanilla. There's not a lot to it. Then Metal Raiders adds a lot of effect monsters. And then Magic Ruler adds a lot of the crazy spells. Pharaoh Servant adds a lot of the crazy traps, etc., etc., etc. I think that would be so awesome to witness, and I had such a cool idea for it too, where they're playing against each other, and I'm there also just laughing, along in the banter and stuff, but they each have a lifeline, once per game, that they can mute the other person for 30 seconds and ask me a question to help them in whatever scenario. I think that would just be so entertaining to do, and that would also not be super difficult for me to do because my role in that is very limited. It's more getting them to sort of get together and do that. So that's the difficult part there. It's difficult when you're collaborating with anyone, right? I wanted to do a Magic progression series. I actually hit up someone who is at Wizards. I don't know if I want to call out their name specifically, but they gave me access to 2 God accounts that I can open unlimited packs on. And so we could theoretically, on Arena, go through and do I could do a progression series with CGB. And granted, they don't have access to every single pack that's ever been printed, but we could just do with what's available on Arena. The fact that we have access to those God accounts to make that content has been something I've had in my back pocket for so long now, and just haven't been able to execute on because of all the health stuff. And then there's also all you guys keep saying oh, I would love to listen to you and CGB and maybe Rarin just talk about anything. Most of you guys just love the fucking card review videos because half the time we're just yapping about random shit. And so we've toyed around with the idea of just doing a podcast of just whether it's card games or fucking whatever, That's just something we've also just thought about doing as well. And I think that would be really fun. And again, it's pretty blasé because I can just, just sit back, relax. We just yap into a camera that's not like super involved. Right. So like one of the most frustrating parts about the whole thing is that I have so many fucking cool ideas that I want to execute on, but I'm not in a state where I can really do that. And I really just need to focus on my health. And so that's basically where things are at. And so in the short term, the content's definitely going to slow down a bit just so I can make sure I get better, that I beat this shit again once and for all. And yeah, I mean, even it's crazy thinking back because, and this video is like getting onto a fucking hour at this point. I'm sorry if I've been just yapping the whole time, but it's still crazy to think that with everything that happened last year in 2020, I say last year, I'm recording this in 2025, but most of you watch it in 2026 probably. So with everything that happened in 2025, I still got to do a lot of really fucking cool shit. I got to go to CGBs to film some magic stuff. I got to meet a ton of fucking cool magic people that came out from Magic Fest and just make a whole new group of friends that I never thought that, I would have. I got to, go see some of you guys at Yu-Gi-Oh! Events like Nats, and I got to go to an RBET finally to support Keegan, and that was fun. That was one of the best tournament experiences I've ever had in my life. Like Joseph and Gage came out for the 3v3, I think, when I first started Chemo, and everyone's like, how the fuck are you here playing Yu-Gi-Oh! When you're on Chemo? I think I traveled more last year than I have like at any point in my entire life. Brittany has this app that tracks like all the flights that we take, and to be fair, most of them were for health reasons. So I'm gonna preface this, but even so, like I was still, with all the shit going on and with everything that I was dealing with, I still got to do a lot of really fucking cool shit. And I think that's the biggest thing that I've really been thinking about, is just how, in the worst case scenarios, it's like, I still want to make sure I do all the cool shit that I get to do because, you never know what can happen, right? And so even with dealing with all this, I still want to be able to try to just do as many cool things as I can. There are some cool things coming that I can't talk about, but you might see in the near future that will be coming. There's another thing I've been working on for like 4 years that hopefully comes to fruition this year, that I can talk about more. But yeah, I love doing cool fucking shit. And I am so grateful that I have the best audience out there that is so supportive, that is so kind, that is truly incredible. Like you guys fucking rock. I don't really know what else to say. I'm so grateful for all of you. Like even going through all this shit, you guys were super supportive. And, I can't thank you guys enough. Like, I don't know how I'm ever going to repay like your kindness, your generosity, like any of that shit. So that's why I do that. That's honestly like what keeps me going, is that I tried to find ways to keep giving back to you guys in the best ways that I can. And so even going through all this, you guys are what help keep me going at the end of the day. And so I'm grateful for that. So thank you at the end of the day. Whatever, may happens, but I've lived a pretty good fucking life, all things considered. I've gotten to do a lot of pretty cool shit. So, that's it. I've probably yapped for like an hour at this point. Sorry, I didn't think it was going to be an hour, but, yeah, I really just need to take this time. And so if you're like a hardcore fan, I'm sorry, you're not going to be getting like 5 series a week or 6 series a week like I used to do. I really would like to do that, and maybe we'll get back to the point where that's the case. But I really need to take the time to just get better. And I think the more attention and time that I dedicate towards that, both physically and mentally, and in just all aspects of life, I think that's going to help accelerate my healing. I think that's going to get to a point where I don't have to deal with this shit ever again. And then that's when the real party can fucking start. That's when we can start doing the absolute most. And so, yeah, that's it. So thank you guys so much again for everything. I really don't think there's enough words to describe how grateful I am to all of you. But, yeah, I guess we'll just see you next time. Happy New Year. And 2026 is going to be our fucking year. So let's fucking party.